Hello guys, this video is a guide to Salvation's Edge's 4th encounter Verity. I wanted to make a guide for this encounter as it is one of the most difficult raid encounters in the game, as the mechanics are complex and for the most part requires everyone to know them, making this especially tough for LFGs. So let's get straight into it. This encounter is split into two rooms, the inside and outside. The inside is a replica of the outside room, but you will be by yourself. This encounter is all about matching the right symbols to the right people on the inside and outside to allow the people on the inside to escape back to the outside. So at the start of the encounter, 3 people will get teleported inside and 3 people will be left outside. Both rooms will have 3 statues standing on podiums in the middle. The 3 people who got teleported inside will become the 3 statues in the center of the rooms. The order of the people on the statues from left to right is random and will be the same for everyone in the inside and outside rooms. You can label these statues left, middle, and right. So in the inside rooms, each one of these statues will be holding a 2D shape. Your first job will be to communicate the order of these shapes to the outside. This can be done easily by writing in chat the order from left to right, for example, CTS for circle, triangle, square. After that, you will notice that your wall has shadows on it and it will be rotating between 2 shapes. The objective of the inside room is to have your wall flashing between 2 different shapes which are not the one your statue is holding. What this means is that if you see your own statue is holding triangle, then you want your wall to be rotating between square and circle. At the start, this will never be the case because the game doesn't want to complete the mechanics for you. There will be 2 possible combinations your wall will be showing, either 2 of the shape your statue is holding, or your shape and a different one. You can transfer shapes from your wall to the other people in the inside rooms. The way you do this is by killing the knights that spawn, which will then drop a shape, pick that shape up, and dunk on a statue, which will then remove that shape from your wall and give it to the person you dunked on. Important information is that knights will only drop shapes that are on your wall, and you cannot transfer shapes yourself, obviously. The knights spawn in sets of 2. Once both are killed, an ogre will spawn. Kill the ogre to spawn the next set of knights. The easiest way to complete the inside is to split it into 2 parts. The first is to gather all the triangles on the statue holding triangle, all the squares on the statue holding square, and all the circles on the statue holding circle. The next is to distribute your shapes to the other 2 players. So this is a very common scenario that can occur in the inside rooms. So at the top, we have the 2 shapes that are on each person's wall. On the bottom, we have what the statues are holding from left to right. So square, circle, triangle. And then we have player 1, 2, 3 that are left, middle, and right. So at the start, we want our walls to be rotating between 2 shapes that are the same as what your statue is holding. So for player 1, that is already correct. They have 2 squares rotating on their wall and their statue is holding square. So their first step is done. However, player 2 and player 3, this is not the case. So what they will have to do is they will have to transfer their shapes to each other. So for player 2, they want their statue is holding circle, so they want circles. So what they're going to do is they're going to get rid of their triangle and dunk it on the statue holding triangle, which in this case would be player 3. And player 3 will take their circle and dunk it on the statue holding circle, which is player 2. So this is the first stage done. Everyone on the inside needs to communicate when they've gotten to this point and say that they are ready to start distributing. So the second part is that you need to transfer your shapes to the other 2 players. So for player 1, this would mean transferring a square to circle and transferring a square to triangle. And while this is happening, player 2 will also be doing the same thing. So they were grabbing their circle, transferring it to square, and grabbing the second one and transferring it to triangle. Player 3 also does the same thing. So as you can see, by doing this method, everyone will have two shapes which are different to the shape that their statue is holding, which is the end goal and is correct. And this will allow you to traverse through the back wall to get back to the outside. This is a much simpler method, and all the communication required is to say that you're ready to start distributing. Once your wall is rotating between the two correct shapes, you can then work on exiting the room. This is achieved by making a 3D shape of the two different shapes on your wall and leaving through the wall at the back. You create these 3D shapes by grabbing two splinters, one after another. Once they are out, this is the inside room completed. Your teammates need to do the same so that all 6 of you are on the outside for the team to progress. If you ever grab the wrong shape while inside, just grab another shape to create that 3D shape, and that will nullify the effect and deposit on any statue. So for the outside, it's a bit more complicated, but it's not as scary as most people think. There is a simple and repeatable technique to make dissecting a real breeze. So on the outside, the 3 statues in the middle will be holding 3D shapes rather than 2D shapes. Each 3D shape is made up of 2 2D shapes. Here is a list of each 3D shape and what they are made of. You could have this list next to you while you're dissecting, but it is recommended to learn these off by heart. An easy way to memorize them is that you can see the 2D shapes in the 3D shape. An example would be prism, made of triangle and square. There is nothing circular about a prism. The objective of the outside room is to make a 3D shape that consists of 2 2D shapes that are different to the 2D shape the statue is holding on the inside. For example, if the left statue on the inside is holding triangle, then you want to make a 3D shape that consists of a circle and a square, which would be a cylinder on the outside left statue. The people on the inside should have listed out the order of the shapes, which will let you know what 3D shape to make on each statue on the outside. On the outside, knights also drop 2D shapes when you kill them. When you pick one up and go to a statue, you are able to dissect a statue. What this means is that you can swap 2D shapes in the statues outside. The first time you dissect, you prime the statue for swapping, and the second dissection does the swap. So how dissecting works is, let's say for this example, the top letter in each section is the inside statue, so square, circle, triangle, and the bottom 2 letters are the 3D shape on the outside, so square and square, that'd be cube, this one would be cone, and this is also cone. So how dissecting works is, let's say you kill a knight and it drops square, you will be only able to deposit that square in a 3D shape that contains square, which in this case would be the left statue. So you would dunk on the left statue, and that would prime the left statue for swapping. Now let's say you kill another knight and it drops circle, then you can only dunk in a statue that holds circle. So that would either be middle or right. Let's say you dunked in middle. When you dunk in middle, that would then swap that shape with the previous shape you swapped. So if you dunk circle, if you dunk square on left first, then circle in middle second, this is what would happen. They would just swap over. If you pick up the wrong shape, do the same as you would on the inside, pick up a second shape, and dunk on a statue to remove your buff. So just like the inside, the game won't complete the mechanics for you, which means that the 3D shape on each statue is guaranteed to be wrong. What this means is that each 3D shape will contain at least one 2D shape from their corresponding inside statue. This makes our first step very simple. We need to dissect that 2D shape from that statue. For example, if the order is circle, square, triangle, left to right, we need to grab circle, dissect left, grab square, dissect middle, and grab triangle and dissect right. So for dissection, let's use this as an example. So the top letter in each section is the inside statue, so square, circle, triangle from left to right. And the two shapes on the bottom is the 3D shape on the outside. So this would be cube, sphere, and pyramid. So like I said before, the outside shapes are guaranteed to be wrong. So they will all contain at least one of the inside 2D shape in their 3D shape. So for left side, square is the inside shape, and in this case, it contains 2 of square on the outside shape. Same for the other 2 examples on the middle and right. So, like I said before, the first step in dissections is to get 2D shapes from the knights and deposit them where the 2D shapes on the inside are. So that would mean in this example, killing a knight and depositing square on left, because this is where square is on the inside. That would prime this statue. Kill circle and deposit on circle, which is down here. This would swap the buffs. And then you would kill triangle and deposit on right, which would then prime this statue. So after this, all you have to do is find 3D shapes which contain a shape that is the same as their inside statue. So what this means, let's take left for example. Left is a cylinder and their inside shape is a square. So because cylinder has square in it and that is the same as the inside statue, then you must dissect square from that shape. So let's do that now, because you did triangle on the right last. So you do not need to consciously think about what shapes you will create if you swap and like what you are swapping. All you have to do is find 3D shapes on the outside that contain the same shape as that on the inside and dissect it. And if you do that enough times, eventually it will be correct. Like, you do not have to consciously think about it at all. So if I pick up circle and I look at middle and see that that's a cylinder and cylinder contains circle and the inside statue is circle, then I would just dissect circle from this middle statue. And if I killed a knight and I dropped triangle and I look at right statue, that is a prism. Prism contains triangle. Triangle is the inside statue, so I will dissect triangle from the right statue. So just by dissecting the wrong shape enough times, eventually you'll get to a combination like this, which is correct, because each statue is holding a 3D shape that contains two 2D shapes which are different to the inside statue, and that is the same for all 3 statues. Make sure to check afterwards your dissections are correct. If you see any 3D shape made of 2 of the same 2D shape, that is incorrect. Once dissections are done, this allows the players on the inside to traverse to the outside room. So at a certain point during the encounter, all 3 people on the inside will die and their ghosts will appear in the outside room. The 3 people on the outside need to pick up these ghosts and deposit them on the correct podiums at the back of the room to save them. You can label these podiums 1 to 6, left to right. Each dead person will be able to see one other dead person on one of the podiums, but not themselves. The alive people cannot see them. When someone picks up a ghost, they need to describe what the ghost looks like. Whoever's ghost it is needs to then describe what their guardian is wearing, so that someone else can spot them on the podium and call out where they should dump the ghost. Do this for the next guardian, and the last one can be placed on the last available podium through the process of elimination. This requires 3 people to communicate to save one guardian, so good communication is required. Make sure to do it one person at a time as to not talk over each other. Different ghosts and distinctive clothing are required for this mechanic to help with identification. Once all 3 guardians are saved, you can continue with the mechanics. After everyone on the inside has returned to the outside, you will have to save guardians again. This time, only one person will be alive and will have to save the 5 others. Make sure to all be close to the podiums when you die so that you can easily view them when you are dead. Each dead person can see one other dead person, the same as before. This time, the person alive does not need to call out the ghosts because you can see their guardian when they are dead, so you can just describe their clothing for then someone to call out. This makes it easier as only 2 people have to communicate rather than 3, which was the case before. Thanks everyone so much for watching. This encounter is still fairly new, so any extra useful information I know to be true, I will add in a comment on the video. If this helped you out, please leave a like and subscribe for more detailed guides and content. See ya.